Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at a different independent computer role-playing game. This time I'm taking a look at a card-based RPG light, Shadowhand. Developed by Grey Allen Games and published by Positech Games, it was published on Steam back in December of 2017. Shadowhand is pretty linear, almost visual novel-style story with an underlying skill system, gear system, and combat based on a solitaire-style card game. It has multiple levels of difficulty, which may help with the replay value, but otherwise seems quite different from every other card-based RPG I've played. In terms of plot, you play the part of a noblewoman, Lady Cornelia Darkmoor, in 18th century England. She takes on the role of the highwaywoman Shadowhand. She is attacked while escorting a female companion on an illicit meeting when a highwayman makes off with her companion. She sets out to find out what happened to her, only to be drawn into an increasingly complex plot. All in all, the story is pretty linear, but interesting enough and divided into sections, each of which may have multiple levels to play. When you create a game, you can select between 3 difficulty levels, and you can change difficulties each time you enter a particular chapter. There are 22 chapters in total, which have between a few and several levels in each, with each terminating in a boss. These levels must be played in order, but after you are able to access a level, you can go back and play it again at any time to try to get a better score. As for the character stats, Cornelia has 3 primary combat stats. Defense reduces the damage she takes from a particular attack, health determines how much damage she can take before she loses, and stealth increases her chance to go first in a duel. There's also a total of gold, which can be used to purchase gear at the shop. She also has 6 attributes, each of which basically gives an increasing % chance to activate a special effect during play. Willpower gives a chance to reduce the number of cards needed to refresh an ability. Insight gives you a chance to start with cards face up. Guile gives a chance to find additional jokers and spare cards. Finesse gives a chance to draw better stock cards. Prosperity gives a chance to increase the gold underneath the last card of each stack. And Luck gives a chance to remove an extra card from play during each play. After finishing a chapter, you can get a chance to level up and get 2 points to distribute amongst these 6 attributes. During play, you can also get additional skills at certain points that grant special abilities, such as one that allows sword suit cards to charge sword weapons faster. There's also a number of secondary stats that adjust defenses and weapons. Defense stats give a chance to avoid an effect or reduce damage from a particular type of attack, while weapons give a chance to inflict various status effects such as stunning, piercing, bleeding, and so forth. Cornelia can equip a number of weapons, outfit pieces, gear, and abilities, which she earns or purchases during the game. Each piece of gear or ability is represented by a card which can be equipped in available slots. She can equip a primary and an offhand weapon, then a number of outfit slots. There's a face mask, a scarf, a vest or bodice, bracers, boots, pants, belt, shirt, a coat or cloak, and a hat. She can equip 3 consumable gear items at one time as well, and then up to 6 abilities, 3 of which are active that provide effects and refresh based on cards played in combat, and then 3 passive abilities that are active at all times. After selecting a chapter card, you are then given the starting story scenes for that particular chapter. You will also get the chapter goals, generally a list of things that you must accomplish in that chapter. You will then face the main core of gameplay. Each chapter consists of a number of levels displayed at the top. There's 2 kinds of gameplay, the primary of which is the duel. Both types of gameplay operate similarly, simply that the non-duel levels have you overcoming a sort of alternate goal, such as clearing the board or unlocking an item. In duels, your goal is to reduce your opponent's health to 0 before they reduce yours. You do this through attacking with your weapons. Each weapon has a damage value, potentially some additional effect, but most importantly a recharge. You charge your weapons by playing cards on the board. This also charges the various active abilities, so the more you play in a row, the better all around. A particular hand consists of a number of cards placed face down and a few placed face up. At the bottom, you have a series of cards in the remaining deck, as well as your active card. Cards have both a suit and a number, although for the purposes of the basic game, the suits really only affect special abilities that can be placed on the board, as well as various types of cards. Generally speaking, to play a card, you simply click on a revealed card that is either one higher or one lower than the active card on the bottom of the board, with 9s wrapping around a 0 and vice versa. If you are able to successfully play a card, you may continue to do so until you can no longer match a card. If you cannot play a card, you can click End Turn, which then turns over a new card from the deck to replace the active card. If you're in a duel, this then passes play over to your opponent. Cards played charge abilities and weapons, as I've noted before, and may also activate special abilities on certain cards. Further, as you play cards, you may set up combos. The longer the combo, the more charges it adds to your gold multiplier, which increases the amount of gold that you find when you finish a stack. Notably, you also end your turn by activating a weapon, so it can be beneficial to finish off a combo before activating a weapon, even if the weapon refreshes well beforehand, just in order to deny your opponent the chance to recharge their own weapons by completing your combo string. As you advance in levels, you uncover special cards such as Jokers, which are wild cards that you can pick up and save for later, or Spares, which are just cards that you can pick up and save for later in general. You can also uncover other special hindrances, such as locks that only open when you uncover a key, suit locks that can only open once you play a number of cards in the same suit, masquerade cards that can be played twice in order to clear them, and so forth. Play proceeds in turns against opponents, or just until the goals have been completed in non-duels. At the end, you get a summary of what that particular level's stats were and some loot. So all in all, the whole game loop is played using these increasingly complex solitaire-like boards, boosting stats and selecting gear to suit your playstyle. There's different strategies that can be used, and the RPG style increases tend to give you special modifiers to the card gameplay itself rather than, increasing damage and so forth. Inventory management goes a long way towards customizing your character's special abilities and the card combat as well. In terms of presentation, it's mostly 2D illustrations in a style often seen in visual novel games, generally presented against a static background for each scene. Interestingly enough, equipped items are accurately represented on the character's illustration, so feel free to go for appearances rather than stats if you're into that. The music is a mix of string pieces that seem to really evoke the era, a few of which I recognize as classical pieces. They're very decently chosen all in all. I have to say that it's quite polished in terms of actual gameplay and interface, although it seems like something that would be more interesting to play on a mobile platform. The writing is actually pretty decent all in all, as well for what it's worth. So is Shadowhand worth picking up? Well, it's basically Solitaire the RPG. If you like Solitaire, or at least variant rules of it, then you'll probably get far more enjoyment out of it than I did. The story is decent enough, but it's very linear, without even the most basic of choices one might expect of a visual novel. It is slickly executed, and the different difficulty levels may provide for some replay value, although I can't imagine that it'd occupy people who are even into Solitaire for more than a couple playthroughs. This is definitely one I'd only recommend for fans of card games who happen to also like RPGs rather than fans of RPGs in general, and even then I recommend finding it on sale. Given that, though, it's pretty solid for what it is, so if you like that specific niche that it seems to be aiming for, then it may be worth picking up. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, I'll put a link to where you can pick it up in the description below. This has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday Shadowhand. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.